Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to our live stream here on the channel. Still a little sick, so you're gonna have to bear with me again through me not sounding the best, but I appreciate you guys being here. Welcome, Haley, Jim, Ben, Carson, Legacy, Caleb, and let's see, Sam, Weather Tracker. Let's see, Peachy in here as well. Glad to see you guys all in here for another stream. LWX24. And everybody else who is tuning in, who I may have forgotten to welcome, or if you're here and you're just watching, not chatting, glad to have you here as well. Ponderosa, welcome to this stream. So let's go right ahead and dive on into this. We should be good to go. I hope I changed the date and everything. I probably forgot, but nope, it looks correct, right? Yeah, it's correct. Okay. So yeah, Indiana, welcome to the stream as well. Let's go ahead and pause this. We're going to begin off here. Right off the bat, diving right into it with our National Hurricane Center outlook. So let me pull that up. This is this week, this full week, maybe going into next week as well. I mean, we really only have like a week and a half left of using this site. We're not going to be using it a whole lot towards the end of November. You know, after this system gets out of here and forms, that's going to be it. This is the last storm to worry about for the season, and it just happens to be one that's going to try to go out with quite the impact. So right now, currently out here in the Central Caribbean, just to the south and east of Jamaica, it is at a 60% chance now of formation in the next 48 hours and a 90% chance in the next 7 days. It's going to continue to push off to the west until eventually it has a chance to form over the next, really, I think this will form into either PTC, whatever number we're on, I don't know what number we're on at all, or Tropical Storm Sarah, and I think that will happen in about 3 days. Probably less than 3 days, to be honest with you. I'm looking at Thursday. This is probably going to become a tropical storm here. Probably near where my cursor is, just to the northeast of Honduras, most likely. So that's going to be the main thing we're going to talk about in this live stream. That's what it's all surrounded off of. So yeah, other than that, I mean, afterwards, you can see there's no other AOIs out there. There's nothing to keep an eye on whatsoever in terms of the tropics on our model runs after this system. And the CPC just did their tropical weather update. And I have to show you this. Let's see if I can... Gracious day, can I even find it? Okay, I think it's this one. There we go. So this is their tropical weather update here. And you can see it all. This is the areas we're going to be watching after our next system. Yeah, there's nothing there. There is no AOI in the next 2 weeks and no AOI in the next 3 weeks. I don't know when the last time we had both of these charts cleared. It was probably back in early June, I imagine. Probably not mid June because that's when we started, looking for barrels. So I don't even know. It's probably been since the very beginning of our hurricane season about 6 months ago. So yeah, that chart's finally cleared. We don't have any areas to watch beyond our AOI that the NHC has highlighted here. So yeah, like I said, that's probably going to become a tropical storm. I'm saying Thursday. So let's go right ahead and move on into. Let's see. I'm going to move y'all over to the weather, actually, ensembles here. I was going to say weather models. We're going to go to ensembles. We'll go to ensembles first. All right, so this is going to be your GFS 12Z ensembles. I'll pull you guys on over there. There we go. So this is your ensembles, which is basically a bunch of ensembles compiled into one single chart. And you could see there's two very distinct paths that I want to point out here. One is this path here. We're going to call this the northern path. This whole area here is what we're going to consider the northern path. What we're going to call the southern path is going to end up being this one here. I'll draw it in pink. Right in here is going to end up being the southern path, which you'll see that more on probably your European ensembles there. So there's two paths that models have this taking. Most of your AI model runs and some ensembles are taking this into the Yucatan Peninsula and then up into the Gulf and barely becoming a tropical storm and then hitting Florida. Whereas a good chunk of your main models, like your GFS, your European ensemble, and your European global model, as well as I think the CMC is on board with it now as well, take this into Florida as a hurricane, if not stronger than a hurricane, into southern Florida. So those are your two main paths. Like I said, we're going to call this one here northern, this one here southern, because that's where it starts here, the northern path and then the southern path. So if we go over to your GFS, or rather we'll go over to your European ensembles now. And we're going to go 240 hours out, which is as far as these go, thankfully. Makes them pretty accurate. And this shows you those two paths pretty well. You can very clearly tell that northern path right in here. This whole northern path, and then the southern path, which you could tell results in this system being considerably weaker. So keep an eye on both of these paths very closely because they're going to flip-flop a lot. And we'll eventually need to figure out which one is going to become our main track for upcoming Sarah. So yeah, you can see the bunch of uncertainty down here, by the way. Look at all that. Look at all the models and spaghetti plots that go absolutely all over the place. But mainly we're going to be just watching Florida. I think Florida is going to end up being the area that everybody's most concerned about over the next week or two. But this could also impact like Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula too. So Yucatan Peninsula, a good chunk of Cuba, and all of Florida are the three main areas we are going to be keeping an eye on. So yeah, we're just going to keep a close eye on those ensembles. I don't know when we'll be getting our hurricane models in. I feel like we should get those in about an hour or so because we now have 99L. 99L, the last one. Normally we go from 99L to 91L or 90L again. But the last system of the season is actually going to get 99L. So this is your GFS global model here, which is a deterministic, meaning that it's just one of multiple deterministic runs that we get per day. This is your 18Z deterministic model run, and we're going to take this into the Western Atlantic here. So if we go ahead and pull this on out, you could see here within like 60 hours, within 60 hours, we end up with a tropical storm trying to form southwest of Jamaica. That's going to be, I believe that is what? That's the morning of Friday, if I'm not wrong. The morning of Friday, November 15th, we start seeing a tropical storm, and then the GFS rapidly intensifies it into a major hurricane, and then eventually a Category 5 hurricane. That's just what the GFS does. It does that. It feels like almost every system we end up seeing the GFS spit out a Cat 5 somewhere, so I still would not bet on that happening. That is your more northern scenario. You could see how it's formed more north. It didn't hug Honduras and then go into the Yucatan Peninsula. You'll see it stay more north, and then it eventually goes into the Gulf of Mexico and then ends up hitting Florida as probably a Category 2 hurricane. There's no other model that is similar to that in terms of strength, but if we look at the CMC model, you'll see that does have a bit of the southern mode there, and then fully stays at the southern mode, or rather the southern track, and it only gets to tropical storm status because of that. It never really gets to that northern side, and so it never really strengthens, and then eventually it just hits Florida as a very weak tropical storm on the CMC model. Your NavGem model, you can see rapidly intensifies it just to the north of Honduras like the GFS does, and then pushes it back into the northwestern Caribbean, into Cuba, and then into southern Florida, and then eventually would take it into the Bahamas and out to sea. So NavGem is pretty close to what the GFS has, but it is a little bit more to the south. Remember, the GFS was like that or so, whereas the NavGem is more like this. Now we could go over to your European 12Z model run, and that kind of has a mixture of both of them. You can see it does go a little bit more north, which allows us to get to borderline hurricane status, but then it goes right ahead and tails, or rather follows the southern track here, hits the Yucatan Peninsula as most likely a tropical storm, goes into the Gulf, barely becomes a hurricane, potentially in southern Florida, and then we'll move on out to sea and become a snowstorm according to the European model. That's definitely an interesting trait. Not something I've seen on anything but the GFS about a week ago. CMC model run here, 12Z again. We'll take this on out, and you could see CMC follows the southern trail again. I keep calling it trail. I need to call it a track. Southern track. So we see a tropical storm, and then it just hits Florida as remnants. So, yeah, Icon model run there as well. The Icon's a bit different because it has that southern track, but it still manages to get to a borderline hurricane. So, yeah, models are definitely in agreement on at least a tropical storm forming out here within the next 3 days. After that, some models take it into the southern Yucatan Peninsula, others take it into western Cuba and then Florida, others take it into the northern Yucatan Peninsula, then northern Florida. So, you know, generally all of these are going to take it to Florida eventually, but the intensity on each one varies a lot. I think the worst case scenario would be this stays on that the northern trend here, goes out to the south and east, and then books it back towards Florida like that. Kind of like what the GFS did last run, the 12Z. This model here, I believe, is their worst case scenario. It keeps it north of Honduras, which allows it to strengthen, then pushes it back up towards Cuba, Florida, and then ends up hitting Florida as potentially a major hurricane. So that's what I think is our worst case scenario here. Hello, Pez. Glad to see you in the stream. See if our hurricane models. This would be the first one to render in, and it's not rendered in just yet. We'll probably not stay live for those to render in. But that's all your main models there. Again, we'll go back to your ensembles. That's your European ensembles 12Z. You can see most of them take this towards Florida as near, if not a major hurricane, into western Florida. So, that's obviously one area we're really, really, really keeping an eye on. Western Florida, western Cuba, and then pretty much the entirety of the Yucatan Peninsula. And like I said, there's really two tracks. There's that more southern track that allows it to be a weak tropical storm, and then the northern one that takes it as a near, if not major hurricane into Florida. Right now, I definitely believe a hurricane forming out here and going towards Florida is definitely a much more realistic possibility. Also show you the European AI. Which one's that one? This one here. Because that one also trended more to the south and west too. Barely forms it into a tropical storm off of Honduras. Takes it into the Yucatan Peninsula and then into Florida as literally pretty much a remnant low. Barely even that. So we definitely have had some downtrends, but also some uptrends as well. Some models, and especially the ensembles, have uptrended. And then the other half of your models have downtrended. Alright, I haven't seen the rest of your GFS model, so we're going to look at that now. See what this shows here. So this is your 18Z GFS model run. I just realized I was on the wrong one there. So takes that snowstorm potential that we've been talking about for quite a while now. Puts it into North Dakota, Minnesota, and then the remnants actually doesn't really get that far south, so that's actually a big time northern trend there. So that's going to get rid of a good chance for snowfall for anybody below, probably below Iowa. You guys are probably not going to be in this chance for a snowstorm. The CPC, I believe, just updated their risk for heavy snow, so yes, they did. So there you go. That's where they have the best chance for snowfall to be. From the 20th to the 22nd, they have a slight risk for heavy snowfall in South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, that area there. Which, if we go to that time frame, that's right here. So that's when your system's moving really sharply up to the northeast. And on the west side of that, you have some colder temperatures that are coming in from that big blast that I talked about in our video yesterday. Let's see if that blast is still as potent on this one. Yeah, definitely still a really strong blast of cold air. I mean, it seems like that's gonna happen. I don't really see a way how we don't see, 30-degree temperatures, Fahrenheit, of course, in this general area here. See what that shows here. This is your shaded one. Look at that. Even a large area of 20-degree temps going all the way far south is northeastern Oklahoma there. That is for November 22nd, by the way. And then after that, we just, we continue with those blasts. So this big trough that's going to come in here, I'll show you guys it on College of Do page here, because that'll be easier. Let me go over here. There we go. All right, so this is College of Do page, 12Z GFS model. Depends on how long you take, Haley. I'm only going to be here for an hour. So this is your 12Z GFS model run, or 18Z. Gracious. I'm not used to the 18Z being in at 6 o'clock. Not almost all the way rendered in. So your 18Z GFS takes that potential severe weather threat, which we thought was actually going to be considerably more north. Turns out we're going to have like literally no instability up there. So that severe threat we talked about 3 days ago, that could reach as far as Iowa, is not going to happen. That's why we never saw a 15% chance for severe weather introduced from the SPC. However, we could end up with a better severe weather threat further south, Sunday into Monday, in this general vicinity here, as that trough pulls through. And then that trough causes, of course, your snowstorm potential as we go towards November 19th. and then even beyond that as well. And then you get this massive mega trough that enters almost the entirety of the US there. That is like almost the whole US covered in a trough ejection. And then it gets out of there. And once that gets out of there, it's going to be the first trough that really sets in our winter pattern. And then from there on, we should be going into a very active snowy season. Hopefully for this general vicinity here. I say that because that's where I personally believe the greatest snowfall chances will be. That's generally where I had the best chance for our winter forecast I did. I don't really think we're going to see a whole lot here on the East Coast in terms of snowfall this season. You know, you're definitely going to get your lake effect snowfall events in this general area here. But I mean, outside of that, like for South Carolina, North Carolina, or Virginia, I mean, we're going to have to get what the heck? Yep, there's your GFS Fantasyland snowstorms returning. We're definitely going to have to get lucky. Let me see the totals on this. So this is the totals on the GFS for that snowstorm we've been talking about, and it's really not that far to the south, so I want to look at your ensembles here. Yeah, your ensembles have gotten a lot more confident in the snowstorm potential in this area. So that still looks like it's on track to see some good snow in this vicinity. But it keeps trending more north. Maybe it will keep trending even more north until eventually it gets to Canada. I also want to check the GFS instability. Yeah, see, we're not going to have, at least anytime soon, we're not going to have any notable severe threats. We're going to stay marginal. I do want to talk about tomorrow's severe threat really quick, actually. Let me go talk about that really, really quick. So tomorrow, remember Rafael, that major hurricane that hit Cuba and was in the Gulf of Mexico? Well, its remnants are still kind of hanging around out there, and it could cause some issues tomorrow. The remnants of Rafael could end up spawning a couple tornadoes in southern Mississippi, Louisiana, southwestern Alabama. So if you guys do live out in that area, make sure you are weather aware. Could see a few tornadoes spin up there. I'll take you on the HRRR model. And you'll see that pull through in these bands that will try to set up offshore. Those are going to be the ones that attempt to form tornadic supercells. You could also see a few out here on the HRRR. Switch over here. You see a few out here in like central Louisiana that try to get going as well. So we're going to have a couple storms that attempt to produce tornadoes tomorrow. The timing for this will primarily be just after 10 a.m. Eastern. Maybe even sooner than that. I mean, yeah, probably just barely after 10 a.m. Eastern. We're going to start seeing tornadic storms move onshore there. I wouldn't be shocked to see a very large 5% introduced with this risk. However, then again, it feels too conditional. Let me look at your instability. Here we go. Ooh. No, I would not be surprised if they introduce a very large 5% tomorrow. Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if we see a big 5% introduced from probably just southwest of New Orleans all the way back up towards like Pensacola. Or that's not Pensacola, is it? Nope. That's the ripoff of Pensacola. Let's see here. I saw someone say, "Will we see Sarah?" Yes, we're gonna have tropical storm Sarah. Yep. Right now, there's a 90% chance. Oh, well, look at that. They just upped it. 70% chance in the next 2 days. So they just upped the chances for a tropical storm in the next 2 days. And that's probably going to keep going all the way up till 90%. Tomorrow, we'll probably end up having a 90%, 90%. So, yeah, we're going to see a tropical storm. This area here is going to see a tropical storm. Now, after that, it's a little difficult to say if eventual tropical storm Sarah is going to track like this towards Florida, or if it's going to track more like this towards Florida. So there's still a few question marks definitely in place. And I think our main factor in that's going to be that big cold front that could bring a snowstorm to the north central U.S. But yeah, if you guys are enjoying the live stream, make sure you hit that like button. It's greatly appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And share the stream and the channel with your family, friends, social media. It's greatly appreciated. Glad to have you guys all back on in here. We probably will take a break tomorrow and then have daily, depending on if this forms and threatens the U.S., we'll probably end up with daily live streams. I imagine what's tomorrow? Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll see how long we go for daily live streams, but we're going to have a lot of streams towards the end of this week. We're going to have at least 3-4 streams after, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 5 days. We'll have probably 3 or 4 streams in that 5-day period. Tomorrow's Wednesday? Oh, shoot. Well, that screws it up, don't it? Man, days have been going by way too fast. Tomorrow's indeed Wednesday. So, well, I guess I'm taking off Wednesday. Shoot, I was betting on tomorrow being Tuesday. Or Wednesday. Tomorrow being Tuesday, yeah. I can't even English. What? I've lost my brain, y'all. I've lost my brain. This sickness is murdering me over here. Hopefully I completely get over it in the next 2 days. That'd be great. I'll take a break tomorrow, and hopefully that's enough for me to get better and then start up daily streams. I guess Thursday. Jeez, I don't really want to... Man. This week's going to go by way too fast. But yeah, we take a look at the Western Atlantic. Yep, I mean, this is the GFS for tomorrow. You can see it tries to spin up a tropical storm. So there shouldn't be a whole lot of development tomorrow. I don't think we'll see a lot of development tomorrow. Thursday is going to be the big day, which is why we're going to be live Thursday. We're definitely being live Thursday. I know that for sure. We'll definitely be live Friday, unless something goes wrong. And then Saturday and Sunday, we'll just see where the system is then. So I can guarantee it will be live Thursday and Friday, because those are going to be 2 big days for this system. That's your GFS model run there. Hold on, y'all. Let me quickly do this. Welcome to the stream, Wilkinson. Glad to see you in here. Jeez. Okay. This is going to be our GFS ensembles. I want to show you their agreement here. So you can see GFS ensembles are in very high agreement that we'll see a tropical storm form just to the north and east of Honduras, probably in about 60 hours or so. Then after that, they kind of just go all over the place. They're still, they're still bundled up, but that's a lot of uncertainty. That could be the difference between a Category 1 hurricane or a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane. So, definitely a lot of spread there. That's a lot of room for error. But they all go right towards Florida. Look at that. All of them go right to Florida. And then you can see our cold front pushes through right about here. So that forces the steering current. Of course, it's going to be more of this. So not a lot of room for error there after this area down here. And eventually the ensembles start moving more to the north. There's not a lot of room for error after that. Your European ensembles, that's this one here. You could see those two more distinct groups. You have a group down here that takes this into the Yucatan Peninsula like this, and then a more northern group that's going to take this into Florida like so. You'll see that right there. There you go. So definitely going to keep a very close eye on our ensembles and models tomorrow. And then hopefully by the time we're live Thursday, all the uncertainty is worked out there on exactly what this system will do. Because by the time we get to Thursday, that's about this point in the model here and in your ensembles. So then we should know how fast that trough's going to be moving into the U.S. over the weekend. Welcome, Pete, to the stream. Glad to see you in here. Wonder if I missed you before. But yeah, we do have a severe, I think we have a severe threat today, right? Yeah, today's that marginal risk threat that we were talking about like a week ago for the potential of severe weather. So there you go there. We got a marginal risk. They actually did introduce a 2% tornado risk, which I'm not really sure why. I personally didn't see anything that signaled a tornado risk today. I mean, the HRRR has nothing even firing in that area. If we look at your NAM 3K, I'm sure it has something. Takes a little while to load. Yep. So your NAM 3K has maybe some mini supercells firing up towards 8, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then more firing up towards 1, 2 a.m. Eastern. So we could get a very quick spin-up tornado out in this area later on tonight. And tomorrow we also have a marginal risk. Tomorrow, as long as nothing crazy goes happen, I won't be live. But you know, there may be the consideration of a live stream tomorrow, an urgent stream. If this overperforms, I really wouldn't be shocked if we have a sleeper, a more higher end sleeper tornado threat, especially if we end up with mature supercells that move on shore like that. That's definitely going to promote a higher than a 2% chance for tornadoes. Good, I didn't miss you. Then day 3, not much, and we shouldn't have anything on day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8. Yep, nothing to look at there. I want to show you guys the CPC outlook because they updated their temperatures as well. So there's your 6 to 10 day temperature outlook that was issued today. You could see that very large area of above average temperatures and above average precipitation as well. I can't fully see there you go. All that green. So if this was like spring or even summer, this would definitely be a much bigger severe weather threat. But because it is November, we have a lack of instability. So we shouldn't be dealing with any notable severe weather threats out of this pattern. But you can see that big blue here, which indicates a large trough ejection, which we obviously saw in the models. And then above average precipitation with above average temperatures, which both signify severe weather possibilities. However, like I said, thankfully it is November. Then after that, the big plume of cold air takes over the most of the U.S. I'm kind of surprised they don't have that below average temperature outlook more to the north and east as well. A little surprised it's not more to the north and east. And let's see, there's your temperature. Oh, there's your temperatures for more of the southern plains there. A moderate threat of hazardous cold temperatures from the 20th to the 21st. Oh, look at that. They just introduced a precipitation chance there. So this was not here when I looked, not but like an hour ago. But they just introduced that. That's for your tropical system. They have a slight risk now for heavy rainfall from the 20th to the 22nd. So they're taking into account the possibility of a tropical storm or greater impacting Florida there. And then there's your snow risk and your big wind risk because of that big trough. So definitely a lot of weather happening from like November 18th and on. There's going to be a lot of weather in the country. We'll have freezing cold temperatures, potentially severe weather, that big trough that causes non-thunderstorm damaging winds, potentially a snowstorm, potentially a hurricane. So definitely going to get very active very quick. We're going to get really active really fast. If you guys have any questions on the weather here, I'd like to try and answer them. So put them in the comments if you'd like to. Let me close this out. There we go. So just to summarize things again, this is your European ensemble track. The main thing we're going to be watching over the next week and a half or so is to see if eventual Sarah takes that more northern track like this, or goes pretty far south and kind of hugs Honduras, and that allows for it to be a much weaker storm. So the closer it is to Cuba, looks to be the stronger it could get, because it will stay away from the wind shear from that cold front, and then eventually once it takes that sharp turn into Florida, it should weaken. No, I don't, Caleb. I don't think you'll be seeing snow for a while longer. You know, one GFS model showing that you're getting snow doesn't mean you're actually going to get snow. There's actually a pretty good way to tell if you'll get snow anytime soon. I've done this for my area multiple times. So go to College Due page. Go to your GFS ensembles. Go to your area. We're going to do 12Z. And we're going to go for ensemble snow accumulation under winter. And we pull that out. And let's see how many have Caleb getting snow. Nope. 1. Maybe 2. Maybe 3. That's all very close. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I'd say probably 14. Most of them actually have you getting snow. But let's see how many of that's within 240 hours out. Most of them. So yeah, you actually might have a chance for probably some lighter snow. It doesn't look like a snowstorm, but some lake effect, possibly. Let's see exactly what that shows. I mean, it's not exactly lake effect. It's just that low pressure's there near the lakes. Look at all the different scenarios for them. But yeah, most of them have that present. I mean, you could see it very easily. A lot of them have that present within 210 hours out. Let's see. Are you wanting it to be canceled, Legacy? Yes, it's gonna rain for sure right around probably 2:33 Eastern. So that'd be 1:32 Eastern. They might be able to fit it in. If they run before 2 p.m. your time, if you guys run before 2 p.m. your time, you're going to be able to fit it in. And then overnight, you get downpoured on. I'm gonna get rain. Look at all that rain. I'm gonna get rain. I can't believe it. It's a miracle. Let's see that about... I want to look at this here. Let's look at it for 18Z now, Caleb, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Still, it's still the majority show you getting some snow. I would bet the closer we get towards you having the chance of snow, the more the chance will go away. Oh, you know another thing I want to see really quick? Let's see if any of these have some wild, crazy nor'easter. None of them. Wow, that's how you know. That's how you know it's going to be an inactive winter for the East Coast. It could be both ways. It could be both ways. If it hugs near Honduras, currently it's like generally right around here, moving off to the southwest. Actually, hold on, they changed this. I don't even think it's, yeah. Yeah, so it's inside that now. Now it's like right here because they updated it. And if it goes like this and hugs Honduras and then starts moving west like that, it's most likely going to be a tropical storm, end up hitting the Yucatan Peninsula, and then could be a tropical storm as it hits towards Florida. However, if it goes the other way, still goes towards Honduras, but starts moving southeast, if that happens, that's when it has the chance, right in here, to become a Category 3, 4, or even a Category 5 hurricane. So there's just still a little bit too much uncertainty. It could be anywhere from a weak tropical storm to a literally Category 5 hurricane in the Caribbean. But most likely, from what I'm seeing, most likely it's going to become at least a Category 1 hurricane. So, like I said, it really could be anything. It's just a guessing game, but models definitely have it being stronger. Let's see if I show you this here. There's your ensembles. You can see all the pink and red. That indicates Cat 2 plus. Cat 2 plus hurricane. And then all the blues down here towards the Yucatan Peninsula. So, Florida, if it does head towards Florida, there's a very high likelihood it will end up being a tropical storm or greater. You could see here on the ensembles, every single one of these ensembles here, every last one has it being a hurricane or greater. All of them. So if it doesn't hit the Yucatan Peninsula, the southwest side of the Yucatan Peninsula, then it's gonna become a hurricane for Florida. So that's just what we got to get by. No, I don't think we'll see a Cat 5 for Florida. Thankfully, we're not in peak hurricane season. This is the last system of the year. For sure. I know it's the last system of the year unless we get some random extratropical storm in the middle of the Atlantic. But it's the last tropical system that will threaten the U.S. for the year. And it's not going to be in the most favorable environment. Let me show you. So we're going to have a big trough that swings in through the U.S. And that trough's going to cause a lot of wind shear. Gracious, super zoomed in. It's going to cause a lot of wind shear right as the system gets close towards Florida. So we should have a very unfavorable environment as this enters the Gulf. This area, very favorable for a major hurricane. This area, favorable for a tropical storm to a hurricane. But it depends on how strong it is. The stronger it is that it enters the Gulf, the more it will be able to sustain that strength. So if it enters the Gulf at tropical storm status, then this system's going to probably hit Florida as a tropical storm. If it enters the Gulf as a Cat 5, it's probably going to hit Florida as a Cat 2 or Cat 3 because it's going to be able to sustain that energy for longer. Right now, we're too far out to say anything about the tornado threat, but if it does hit as a tropical system, yes, we'll have at least some threat of a tornado risk. But we're still far out from this getting towards Florida, so there's a lot of things that could change. But what we know is that we're going to see a tropical storm develop out here. It's likely going to become a hurricane, and it's eventually going to head towards Florida. Whether or not it hits Florida as a tropical storm or something greater than that, that's the biggest question mark. It honestly, it should look pretty good right now. I haven't looked at it myself. That's not it, thankfully, or we'd be in very big trouble. Yeah, this is what it looks like right now. It is an invest, which means it means that we can investigate the system further. We could get some better model data on it tonight. So it doesn't look that bad at all. Yeah, we're still not getting that better model data, so it's going to be a while. We should get it at 0Z, which is probably going to end up being near 10 o'clock. Even though 0Z is actually 7 o'clock, those models probably won't render in until like almost 10. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask them. We're not going to stay live here too much longer. And then, like I said, I'm not going to be live tomorrow. We'll be back here Thursday. We'll have a live stream Thursday and Friday. And depending on if the system threatens the US, we might carry those live streams all the way until, the next 5 days after that. So it's possible that we're live at most. This is like the most we live stream. Gracious day. I'm not even going to get into that because I don't want to end up promising something that I can't fulfill. But we'll probably be live. I know we'll be live Thursday and Friday. And depending on what the system does, we'll end up most likely live streaming Saturday or Sunday as well. A lot of streams. Let's see here. I wonder if that's snow on the Euro model. Where's the... I think I could look at snow here on the European model. Nope. Gracious day. A 975 millibar into Canada. Such a big blast of cold air that we're going to experience in the US. Look at that. This whole area would be most likely below freezing. This whole area here. Massive blast. Well, I mean, overnight snow is better than no snow, Caleb. And if it is overnight, that gives it a better chance of actually being snow. Well, hopefully I get better, Pete. It's taken forever to get over this thing. I've just got an annoying, an annoying part of it that's hanging on. And it won't get out of my system completely. I want to look at the consistency of the GFS real quick. Let's look at this. The last few runs. Okay, the last few runs, like the last, what? 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, like the last 6 runs have been fairly consistent. So we're definitely still on the trend of this becoming a hurricane. Yeah, I can't wait till we start getting towards colder temperatures. I kind of hope we don't get into freezing here in Virginia. I don't really like it getting down to probably below 40. 40 and above is good for me in the winter. But if we get below the 40 mark, that's when I'm starting to get annoyed by winter. Unless it's going to snow. Yeah, see, that's not bad at all. That is not bad whatsoever. Like, that is really, really good temperatures. Lows into the low 40s and highs into the low 60s. Those are really good temperatures. 40s and 60s across the boards. That is like perfect temperatures right there. This is a little bit too cold. What day is this? Let me go back here. This one right here. What day is this? Oh, shoot. That's tomorrow morning. That's tonight. Yeah, you're getting a little bit too chilly on me right there. 35, 36 degrees. Jeez, I would not like to live in Canada. Canada gets some brutal temperatures. 30 isn't brutal for Canada, but I mean, I know for a fact later on this year, I'm going to take a look at these models and we're going to start seeing like negative 20 out here in Ontario. Continental US is your GFS. See how that big blast looks on your GFS. So that's your big blast right there. You can see the freezing mark here gets almost all the way into Western Virginia, down into some of the deep states there. So very cold temps for most of the US, which is exactly what we were thinking. I'm sure your school would close for severe weather if there was a guarantee of tornadoes before you guys normally get out of school. I'm sure your school would close. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's Canada temperatures right there. Negative 12. I can't imagine the wind chills. Right, this is your European one. This one had the big brutal blast. Yeah, look at that. That puts, oh man, that puts 20s almost to my house. Very, very, very freezing temperatures. Hello, Liam. We're getting ready to wrap it up here. So long story short, long 50-minute live stream short. We're watching for Sarah to develop most likely Thursday somewhere near northeast of Honduras. It's likely going to become a hurricane and either head towards the Yucatan Peninsula and then head towards Florida as a tropical storm, or it's going to strengthen more, then head towards Cuba and Florida as a hurricane or potentially even stronger than a weak hurricane. So this area here is where we are watching for tropical impacts. The entire state of Florida, most of the Yucatan Peninsula, and most of Cuba, as well as the Bahamas. The areas that are, the areas that I would watch closest in Florida is definitely all the way from Spring Hill down towards Key West. This whole area here. That's where our ensembles are the most aggressive. A lot of ensembles bring a hurricane towards this area of Florida in the middle portion of next week. But yeah, that's going to be about it. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel with the notification bell set to all. Like I said, we'll be live, definitely live Thursday, Friday, and possibly even a couple days after that as well, due to this hurricane. If the hurricane threatens the U.S., we'll live stream nearly daily after tomorrow. If it doesn't threaten the U.S. and it ends up just being, a hurricane for the Yucatan Peninsula, we'll stream a few times, but it just depends, because if it takes that more southern track, it's only going to be like a 5-day ordeal. If it takes that more northern track, we could be tracking this all the way until the end of next week. So definitely going to keep an eye on it for sure. Definitely can't say it will be major for the Tampa Bay area. Way too far out for that. But alright, thank you mods for modding chat. Thank you everybody for being here. Just a quick 1 hour live stream there to update you guys on the tropics and other weather as well around the country. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday, because apparently it's a Tuesday. And oh wait, shoot, or is today a Wednesday? Today is a Tuesday. Okay. Just had to make sure. Apparently it's Tuesday, not Monday. Man, it feels like a Monday because I'm sick. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you guys in Thursday's live stream. Have a great rest of your night. Stay safe. Watch severe weather in the snowfall. Have a great rest of your night. Once again, goodbye. Stay safe. Have a great rest of your night. Good.